Hello, everyone. Welcome to Inconvenient Truths. I'm your host, Jennifer Zeng. Today, let's dive into a topic that's currently dominating Chinese online platforms and impacts everyone, not only in China, but also countries that import food from China. The massive scandal surrounding China's cooking oil industry. Chinese netizens often say that there is not only what you cannot think of and nothing they cannot do. A recent incident that has created a furor among the Chinese public has once again confirmed this saying. Who would have thought that in China they are using industrial tankers to transport cooking oil and without cleaning the tanks in between? This issue was first brought to light by Beijing News July 2nd. The coverage included not only text but also secretly recorded footage by an investigative journalist. It showed tankers after transporting liquefied coal and other chemical substances being directly loaded with cooking oil without any cleaning. Some tanker drivers even revealed to the reporter who was secretly recording that it was a well-known secret within the industry to transport food and chemical liquids using the same tanker without cleaning. This revelation reopened concerns about food safety in China, sparking widespread public outrage. The scandal continued to simmer, featuring daily on Weibo's trending topics, with more alarming revelations surfacing every day. For example, on July 10th, a video was shared by a netizen showing a cooking oil tanker entering the premises of Zhejiang Risheng New Materials Technology Company. Public records revealed that this company is actually a chemical factory. It operates in the chemical raw materials and products manufacturing sector, dealing in products such as refining agents, soaps, cleaning agents, dispersants, and other specialty chemicals. On the same day, a video from a netizen in Hubei province showed a tanker labeled water delivery truck. When the paper labels were removed, the underlying painted words septic tank trucks were exposed, indicating that this tanker was previously used for sewage, but now it is repurposed for delivering water. Isn't that terrifying? A tanker truck driver revealed that his vehicle, after being loaded with herbicide, was then used to transport cooking oil. However, netizens used a Chinese app called Truck Tracking App to follow the routes of the two tanker trucks reported by Beijing News. They discovered that the tainted cooking oil has nearly reached all parts of China and might have even entered the special food supply chain of the CCP. Netizens compiled data on a tanker truck's loading and unloading locations and its cargo from March 22nd to July 1st. The data shows that the same tanker truck was used to transport cooking oil immediately after carrying liquefied coal. Liquefied coal is a chemical liquid produced from coal. It is meant for industrial use and is harmful if mixed with food. Netizens also noted that the contamination chain includes not only some famous cooking oil brands, but also the special supply bases that cater exclusively to the CCP's privileged entities. Why are these tanker trucks not cleaned? An industry expert provided an explanation. A freight company owner in Henan province mentioned that since mid-2022, the tanker truck industry has been flooded with new workers. This influx has led to market saturation and a subsequent price war. To attract customers, tanker companies fiercely compete against each other. For instance, ordinary tanker trucks, which typically transport general goods, are used to illegally transport kerosene, treating them as hazardous material tankers. Similarly, tankers designated for hazardous materials are used to carry general goods in a bid to capture the market. Cleaning tanker trucks, particularly through professional methods, is costly. Therefore, to cut costs, many drivers and companies often skip this crucial step. A truck driver shared a video explaining that he bought a tanker truck for $82,000 and took a 3-day trip hauling cargo both ways. His total earnings from freight were $984, but after covering various expenses, he netted only $170 over 3 days, which averages out to $56 per day. And that's with him driving the truck himself. He did not specify how many hours he drove each day. Assuming an 8-hour day, his hourly wage comes to just $7. If he were to employ a driver and pay him $55 per day, he would be left with a mere $3 for himself. Moreover, if he were to receive a fine during the trip, he would end up losing money. And its costs also don't include depreciations of the truck, and 70% of the costs are spent on diesel fuel and highway tolls, which are connected by the state-run company. That is, not only does he pay for his truck, but also works very hard by driving it himself. However, most of his income is still taken by the CCP government. This situation is indeed disheartening. He could potentially earn more by simply depositing the money spent on the truck into a bank and collecting interest, rather than enduring the hardship of working so hard. There are also claims that the idea of cleaning tanks used for chemical materials before using them for cooking oil is a fallacy. Such tanks should not be repurposed for cooking oil transport at all. What do you think? The contamination of cooking oil was first brought to light in China as early as in 2005. Yet, nearly 2 decades later, this issue remains unresolved. Analysts identify 6 primary reasons for this. First, CCP officials have access to specially supplied food. Unlike in the free world, in China, officials at all levels, including local governments, maintain their own bases for specially supplied food that is organically grown and free from genetically modified food, or at very low prices. So, uh, consequently, these officials lack the motivation to tackle food safety issues affecting the general populace. Second, the absence of press freedom in China has led to a decline in investigative journalism. Third, Chinese citizens lack votes and oversight rights. Even minor online complaints can lead to censorship or account deletion. Fourth, China lacks national standards for many sectors, including no specific standards for the transportation of cooking oils. There are even no vehicles in China specifically designed for transporting cooking oils. CCP officials justify this by saying our nation's food transportation industry is still developing, and fostering free competition within this sector is essential. Implementing mandatory standards for the use of specialized vehicles for transporting cooking oil could spell disaster for non-specialized transportation fleets. Do you find this explanation reasonable? Fifth, corporates are irresponsible. Sixth, under the CCP's influence, many Chinese have lost their moral standards, and money has become the only thing that they run after. Overall, in a nation devoid of law, morality, and press freedom, how can food safety be expected? Another noteworthy issue is that China's food safety problems are not recent but have been ongoing for many years. However, why has this issue suddenly garnered such intense social and public attention? I believe there are 2 possible reasons. The first is the involvement of Xi Jinping's political adversaries behind the scenes. Some have referred to a speech from 2014 by Xi Jinping in his second year of leadership, where he stated, if our party rules China and fails to adequately ensure food safety, continuing to perform poorly, questions about our competence will inevitably arise. Consequently, state media ran headlines such like long-term food safety failures indicate unfit governance. So some say that Xi Jinping's political enemies want to use this scandal to challenge Xi's rule. However, a recent update reveals that Han Futao, the investigative journalist from Beijing News who first reported this issue, has had his Weibo account deleted and he has gone missing with no details on his whereabouts. Some people are starting to worry about his safety as there have been previous cases of journalists who have been killed for exposing food safety issues. Also, according to this social media post, the Beijing Municipal Committee's propaganda department just took control of Beijing News, appointing 2 of its members as deputy party secretary and vice president, and as the secretary of the Discipline Inspection Committee. This move is essentially the party's attempt to take over or internally cleansing and monitor Beijing News, which is perceived to have made a big mistake by publishing that report. Another development is the app that can track the truck routes suddenly became unavailable, with searches for related popular topics also vanishing. This suggests that Xi Jinping may have retaliated. In CCP's China, any topic that trends is typically the result of government control or manipulation. Nevertheless, citizens occasionally seize the fleeting chances provided by the authorities to voice their opinions on certain topics. Such freedoms, however, are usually short-lived. Another possibility is that the CCP officials are using this trending topic to shift public attention away from other issues that pose greater threats to the regime. Several recent incidents have been particularly damaging to the CCP. The first incident involved the U.S. House of Representatives passing the bipartisan Falun Gong Protection Act on June 25th. This legislation mandates penalties for CCP officials involved in the forced harvesting of organs and requires the U.S. government to list those implicated in these crimes. While this bill still needs to clear the Senate and receive the president's signature to become law, its unanimous passage in the House and bipartisan nature suggests it is likely to pass in the Senate as well. Should this legislation be enacted and enforced, it would spell disaster for the CCP. The second significant incident was on July 8th when the U.S. Heritage Foundation released a report calling for the CCP to be held accountable for its role in the most catastrophic pandemic of our era, COVID-19. The Heritage Foundation, although just a think tank, released its report on the same day U.S. House Speaker Johnson spoke, announcing that the U.S. Congress would pass a significant package of legislation to target the Chinese Communist regime before this year's end. Thus, if the U.S. Congress embraces the recommendations from the Heritage Foundation's report and introduces corresponding legislation, and if other nations also follow this lead, it would spell another catastrophic disaster for the CCP. The third point is that at the recent NATO summit on July 10th, NATO openly accused the CCP of enabling Russia's war in Ukraine and urged it to cease support. It is the first time that NATO made such a declaration. This suggests that NATO might treat the CCP in the same way as it treats Russia in the future, and it will be difficult for the CCP to continue to pretend to be neutral while aiding Russia. If the United States and the European countries sanction the CCP as severely as they have sanctioned Russia, the blow to the CCP too will be tremendous. Therefore, although food safety issues are extensive, they are not immediately life-threatening. So the CCP might prefer to handle this level of negative publicity and cover up more critical information. What are your thoughts? Well, that's all for today. Please like this video and subscribe for more. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Please also visit my website at jenniferzengblog.com to sign up for a membership or make a donation. Your support helps me continue sharing the inconvenient truths. Thank you. Have a nice weekend and see you next